We can now go across to France 24, Cyril Payen, who is on the ground in Ukraine. Cyril, good afternoon. You are not far from the border with Russia in a village which had been occupied by Russian forces until recently. What is the situation on the ground now?
Well, as you can see just around us in this village, which has been liberated by this counteroffensive by the Ukrainian forces less than 10 days or 12 days ago, these are Russian bunkers when they have been occupying, Russian military units have been occupying these whole regions, which is west and northwest of Kharkiv. Indeed, they have been occupying for 1 month to 6 or 7 weeks. So we have been saying it's really terrifying scenes we have been going through by driving since this morning in these areas. You have Russian tanks abandoned, which are burned down. You can see a lot of cluster bombs all around, and even some aircraft, 2 aircraft and a choppers, we have been gunned down. We are just in the middle of a field. But what is extremely amazing here and appalling is even like in Kharkiv, which is the second city of Ukraine, is that it's the quietness. There is nobody left. It looks like all these areas which have been occupied have been deserted after this huge counteroffensive and the first counteroffensive by Ukrainian force just to push away the Russians. Now we could hear some sirens all the night in Kharkiv. People are telling us that there were some artillery shelling not far from where we're standing now, and the whole area is still extremely mined. So it's very precarious, very volatile indeed on the ground here, and it looks like a very clear idea of what is going on 150 kilometers away south from where we are in Donbas, where war is raging, where the place is absolutely occupied by military forces. So the testimonies we have are rape by dozens, if not by hundreds, and summary killings and some quite barbaric actions from the occupying forces while they were here in the west part of Kharkiv.
Cyril, you were recently in Kharkiv. What is the situation like there? Are there fears of another Russian offensive?
Well, very much so. Kharkiv is a very huge city, vibrant city, not usually with 1.5 million of this population. We have been going through a very quiet, deserted place where the martial law is still in place, a very strong curfew from 6 to 9 p.m. Not much things are open. Even in the central, there is no one. We could see tanks roaming. So it looks like very much they were very quite optimistic news when they were this first counteroffensive 2 weeks ago by the Ukrainian forces, who again were able to push away the Russians. But now we expect and people fear that there will be a second wave of offensive. So this is actually why 600,000 of the people here, of the population, just left. For the remaining people, they just fear indeed a second wave of assault from the Russians.
Cyril, very briefly, you mentioned that you've heard testimonials of, rapes and disappearances. What can you tell us?
Well, we have been traveling in the Kiev area, 600 kilometers away from here, which with Irpin, Bucha, Hostomel, which was the key resisting places from the offensive on Kiev. And here, absolutely horrifying testimonies of rape, of killings, of disappearances. And the problem is, it looks like very much, we arrived yesterday here, it looks like very much that in this very occupied zone, for weeks, these places have been occupied by the Russians. It looks like we have the tip of the iceberg of some first testimonies, accounts of terrible things which happened here. So it looks like there will be, the prosecution is already starting to work here, and there will be long months of work here on fixing what terrible things, tragedies which happened here.
Cyril Payen reporting there from the region of Kharkiv. Thank you very much for that.